Reach out your hand, I'll welcome you in. It's so good to be together again. Start out the day wearing a grin. Joyful faces make the people want to come in. Open your arms to show that you care. And a little light will shine everywhere. When you're in pain, trouble or doubt, let the love come in to help the hurting get out. Open your heart to show that you feel, and build a church of love that is real. Open the door, step right inside. Come into this place where love and hope will abide. Reach out your hand, I'll welcome you in. It's so good to be together, it's so good to be together, so good to be together again.
What a wonderful way to say good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Kelly Crocker and I'm one of the ministers here. Today I am joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Asprooth-Jackson, by the worship team of Linda Warren, Drew Collins, Stephen Gregorius, Daniel Carnes, and a face that may be new to you but not new any longer, Melissa Adams. Melissa is our children and youth choir director. So if you have children who are 4 and up, you can join this mighty group over here who sound fantastic this morning. Thank you for being with us. And a thank you to all those who are volunteering in many roles today. Our greeters, ushers, hospitality providers, and lay ministers. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you're visiting us today, welcome. We're so very glad that you are with us. If you'd like more information about the congregation, please stop by the welcome table in the Commons through those doors to your right. We hope that you will be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after service, which is also in the Commons. And during coffee hour today, you will find tables with information about our upcoming autumn events and activities that can use your time and your attention. So please take a look, stop by those tables. Volunteers and staff will be there to answer any questions. As this is the first Sunday of the month, members of our Board of Trustees will be in the Commons to talk with you about their role in our governance of our congregation. Please seek them out with thoughts or questions. And Kelly AJ and the FUS Criminal Justice Reform Team invite you to join them in attending the National Journey to Justice bus tour exhibit as it passes through Madison on Sunday, October 12th, from 12 to 3 p.m. at Madison Christian Community. In addition to the immersive traveling exhibit, the program will include a panel discussion on the unique harms of solitary confinement in Wisconsin state prisons. More details can be found in the red floors on our website. Please consider joining them to learn more about this harmful practice being done in our name. And for those of you connecting with us virtually today, welcome to you as well. We're so very glad that you are with us, and we hope that you'll be able to stick around after today's service to watch the announcement slides to find out more about what's happening here at First Unitarian. And now I invite us into a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time, joining together once again in community.
come into this moment as if stepping into a garden at dawn, quiet, tender, open to what may grow.
Let compassion be the flower we bend toward.
We return as if returning to the soil, hands in the dirt, willing to tend what needs tending.
Here today we gather to remember that the most delicate blooms require daily care, that attention is the water of love, that we are still learning how to care.
Come, let us begin again in love, tending the garden of the heart and the heart of compassion.
And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do, joining together in the words of affirmation as we light our chalice. This chalice, once lit, is a declaration that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. By our time, wisdom, attention, and money, may we make this community fully accessible and inclusive, a place where such flourishing may be fully realized. And before we join together in song, we invite you to take a moment to turn and greet those around you.
Let's sing together our opening hymn, number 299, if you're using a gray hymnal. Make channels for the streams of love. Make channels for the streams of love, where they may broadly run, and love as overflowing streams to fill them everywhere. But if at any time we see such channels to provide, the very thoughts of love for us will soon be parched and dry. We must share if we would keep as if no else above. We cease to give, we cease to have, such is the law of love.
Well, now I would like to invite forward anybody who wants to come up and join me for a story today. Good morning. Hi. Good morning. Welcome. Oh, you have some very impressive charm. Oh, and there's a monkey. Oh, very nice. Good morning. So I was all set to tell you today that I had a story for you from the Zen Buddhist tradition. But before I told you that, I wanted to make sure that I knew where it came from. Like, not just which community of people, not just which group it belonged to, but like which person or which book or whatever. So I did a little bit more digging, and I couldn't find any particular Zen Buddhist book or teacher that I could find that was the source for this story. Instead, what I found were a lot of Zen Buddhists saying, "Why do people say this is our story?" So I very honestly don't know where this story comes from, but I thought it was still worth telling to you, so here it is. This story is called The Monk and the Scorpion, and to begin with, there are actually two monks in it, so that's a little confusing. But so one day, there were two monks. A monk, if you don't know, is like a person who is very serious in their religious practice, and they usually spend a lot of time by themselves or only with other monks in order to be focused just on doing what their religion has them do. So that's kind of the shorthand version of what a monk is. But there were two monks, and they were sitting by a stream, and they had their feet in the water. Have you ever on like a hot day gotten to rest your feet in some cool water before? Is that an experience you've had? That's nice, right? It's pleasant, it's refreshing. Maybe you had the chance to do it yesterday. I don't know why it's this hot in October. Well, I know why, but I'm not pleased about it. Anyway, back to the monks. There were these two monks, and they were sitting with their feet in the stream, and there must have been a tree that had a limb that went way out over the stream, because out of seemingly nowhere, presumably from falling off of that tree limb, a scorpion fell down out of the sky and landed in the stream. Has anybody seen a scorpion before? Yes? Yes? A few? A couple of us have, right? They're, I think they're pretty cool, but they're a little bit dangerous looking, right? They got that big stinger on the end of their tail. They do sting people, that is true. Take a scorpion, seriously. You have been stung by a scorpion? Oh my gosh. I'm glad you're okay. You seem okay now, so I'm glad you're okay. You know what? Once I was visiting Mexico. I had the great privilege to visit Mexico, and the person I was staying with said, be sure and check your shoes in the morning for scorpions. And you know what? I'm glad that I did, because I found one of the mornings I was there. Thankfully, I'm okay, I didn't get stung. But anyway, so the scorpion fell down into the stream. And the first monk, who was closer to the scorpion, without even thinking about it, he reached down into the stream and he picked up that scorpion. He was trying to get it back over to the side to get it out of the water, to get it back to safety, because it's not good for scorpions to be in the water. Like, most animals that don't live in water, they don't want to be there. And as he was getting almost over to the edge of the stream, it stung him right on his hand, which hurt a lot. And so he yelped. And his hand jerked up like that, and the scorpion went flying again and landed in the water again. But he didn't stop there, because he reached back down with both hands, and he tried to grab the scorpion again, tried to do it faster this time, like he could get away with it if he just did it really fast. Reached down, and he almost had it all the way out, but then it stung him on the other hand, and that hurt just as much. And he dropped the scorpion again. It was back in the water. So then he said to the other monk, quick, hand me that stick. And the other monk did what he was asked, and he grabbed the stick. He used it to sort of scoot the scorpion over to the shore, and it crawled off to keep living its scorpion life. It was fine. It just, had an unpleasant experience, and now it was over. So after all of that commotion, the second monk asked the first one, right? Why'd you do that? You had to know that the scorpion was going to sting you. Scorpions are dangerous animals. They're good at stinging things. It's what they do. Why did you bother to stick your hand in the water? And the first monk said, when I put my hand in the water, my hand gets wet, because it is the nature of the water to be wet. I don't get upset with the water for making my hand wet. The scorpion's nature is to sting things. I knew that. That wasn't a surprise. It is my nature to help other living things that need my help. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Now, we are going to turn our attention back to the children's choir so that we can listen to some more music.
And as we sing our children to their classes, we're going to sing a more complete version of our typical Kindness Lights Our World. And we'll sing it this way anytime we sing it. Oh, you can make the world so bright, and you can turn the day from night, and share your gifts and spread your light, and learn what you know when you hear someone, to know when you smile, to know when you cheer someone you have always known inside. A hand that touches one in need, a gesture, any helping deed, and all can plant this caring seed. For kindness lights our world. Remain seated, please, and we'll sing our next hymn, Meditation on Breathing. We'll sing the drone, breathe in, breathe out, part 2 times through. And then if you want to keep singing that, feel free. The rest of us will sing the melody 2 times through. Breathe in. One more time. I'll breathe in peace. I'll breathe out love. I'll breathe in peace. I'll breathe out. I'll breathe out.
Our inspiration today from Abby Allie Ang. During this latest shiny new catastrophe, while I lie in bed and luxuriate in the silk of my sadness, a friend's text lights up my screen. You deserve the world. Not this world, hostile and unkind, but the one we are building in the lines of poems, in our wildest melatonin dreams, in the dirt of our gardens, and the recipes passed down to us in a language that we have not yet forgotten. I catch glimpses of it in the tsunami of voices that floods the streets after another life is snatched from a mother's grasp. Their demands for justice impossible to ignore. I feel it in my friend's deliberate knuckles massaging coconut oil into my scalp, how their steady hands unworry my brow. Everywhere I look, aliveness. I open my cupboard to discover the plump red face of a tomato that I forgot to turn into pasta sauce, now blooming soft tufts of mold, the stubborn insistence of life in even the harshest conditions. I slice the tip of my finger while chopping cloves of garlic, and before the first drop of blood has blushed the counter, it coagulates at the edge of the wound. A miracle, this body. How it has already begun to heal before I have even registered the hurt. When I say you deserve the world, what I mean is this is not the first apocalypse we have survived. The world has ended before and before and before, and for some, there was no after. We have watched its rind cracking open like a freshly broken heart, and each time we build and rebuild. We kiss our houseplants on their leafy foreheads before we go to sleep. We dress our bodies in the most brilliant light. We dance like the empire is dying, water the ground where it once stood, and watch what blooms lush and verdant in its wake.
The famous Albert Einstein received a lot of mail, especially in his later years, and he responded to a decent amount of it. His expertise was in theoretical physics, but he got a lot of existential questions. More than a few came from people seeking wisdom and solace on the occasion of death or loss. And he answered on this subject enough that Einstein actually rephrased what it was he had to say about that subject in a few different ways in the letters that we still have of his. So here is a quote from him, one that you might have heard before or that you might hear in future in a slightly different formulation. Just know that was likely the way that he put the same basic idea, just in a different letter. Here are his words. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole nature in its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such achievement is in itself a part of a liberation and a foundation for our inner security. May such liberation someday come to us all. Because if I am honest, and it is my responsibility to be honest always with you, I believe the optical delusion that the scientists described is very much with us in these days. We live in perilous times. Life is becoming harsher, more difficult, more demanding for most of us. And things have been moving in this direction for a long time now. The business interests whose decisions shape our daily lives have commodified not only our basic needs and our common wants, but also our very selves, buying and selling every scrap of information that makes up who we are in the world. The social safety net, which was never fully realized in this country to begin with, is rapidly being dismantled. A serious illness or injury, which is a certainty for any of us who live long enough, more and more carries with it the very realistic prospect of bankruptcy. The very, very wealthiest seem only to be growing more ludicrously wealthy with each passing year, even as they become more effective at translating their riches frictionlessly into the exercise of greater and greater power. And this concentration of money and power into fewer and fewer hands just serves to make life harsher, more difficult, and more demanding. This vicious cycle is how I explain the large and growing sector of our popular culture, which amounts to just a wide variety of get-rich-quick schemes. Multi-level marketing companies, sports betting phone apps, a succession of dimly understood tech fads, cryptocurrency, non-fungible tokens, meme coins, and at least the large majority of the technologies that are currently being mislabeled as artificial intelligence. Each of these is an umbrella over many separate products, systems, and business opportunities, every one of which has their very earnest defenders. And perhaps some of those defenders are some of us here in this room at this moment. But taken together as a class, they all share the promise of tremendous opportunity for personal gain and the reality that most people drawn in by those promises will lose and be left much poorer for it. Their lives made harsher, more difficult, and more demanding in yet another way. Easy money and the idea of being just one clever trick away from the life of luxury has long held great appeal in American society. From the California gold rush to the stock market bubble that led to the Great Depression, to the junk bond era of the 1980s, even to the interlocking network of contradictory conspiracy theories known as QAnon. All of these things have at their heart a great many people who feel hard up, left out, and passed over for the false promise of a piece of that sweet life that they know or think they know, that others less worthy than them are living. They will invest life savings, hard labor, and the very faith of their heart into that promise. With many different phrasings, the thought process, the emotional impulse driving all of these examples to disastrous effect is, I am finally going to get what I deserve. In this perilous circumstance, which is both the cause of and is perpetuated by the attitude that everyone is out for themselves, so I had better get one over on the other guy before they get one over on me. So many of the frameworks that we organize ourselves around seem just to be choices between different sets of moral compromises. The demagogue says, these are perilous times. Trade me all of your neighbor's freedoms, and I will protect you. More sober heads shake and say, how unthinkable to make such a deplorable exchange. But these are perilous times. Let us rationally determine the smallest possible number of vulnerable people and throw them to the wolves to save the rest. The poet Czesław Miłosz wrote that a man may persuade himself by the most logical reasoning that he will greatly benefit his health by swallowing live frogs, and thus, rationally convinced, he may swallow a first frog and then a second, but at the third, his stomach will revolt. My message to you today is supposed to be about compassion. And so far, almost all that I have done is to remind you of how broken the world is. But all of this has been a necessary preamble to my offering you a simple definition for that word. When cruel circumstances make human beings cruel themselves, and each moral choice feels like a menu of competing immoralities, compassion is that thing that happens when we finally get sick of swallowing frogs. Compassion will not guide your hand in choosing who to sacrifice. It will not help you to win at the game of acquisition. It will not lighten your heart when the right person or the right sort of person suffers or dies. Compassion will make you think to yourself instead, I want better for everyone else than what I have already received from the world, not worse. Joanna Macy, the environmental activist who died just a few months ago, said that compassion boils down to not being afraid of the suffering of your world or of yourself. It involves being open to what you're feeling about that suffering: grief, fear, rage, overwhelm, and brave enough to experience it. You can't heal something you're afraid to get near. Compassion is what impels you to act for the sake of the larger whole. Or put more accurately, it is the whole acting through you. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a revered figure named Guanyin. Guanyin is the embodiment of compassion. She is said to care perfectly and completely about the well-being of all other beings. In Buddhist stories, Guanyin is the ideal of kindness given a human shape. And for this reason, she is held to watch over and guide all caregivers, in particular, all mothers. One of the stories that is told about Guanyin begins with her making a vow, swearing that she would not rest until all people are perfectly at ease, utterly free of all pain and suffering. But just trying to hear the cries and see the tears, every person in the world, was too much for her. Those of us who are or have been parents or caregivers to others might be able to appreciate that. It is hard enough to handle the cries of just one or a couple human beings, let alone all of them at once. The strain was so great that Guanyin's head cracked and broke into many different pieces. But because this is a story in which wondrous things can happen, each of those pieces became a new head, so that Guanyin had many ears and many eyes to hear and to see the suffering of those in need of help and kindness. Now that she could sense all of the pain in the world, Guanyin did not run from it or turn away. Instead, she reached out to try to help. But there were so many who needed her, so much to be done, that her arms broke apart as she tried to take on too much. Yet again, something wondrous happened. Each of those broken pieces became a new arm, so that she had many hands and many ways with which to reach out and to comfort. Now, all of us who have cared for another living thing know that it can be overwhelming. It can make us feel like we're breaking apart into 1,000 different pieces. And I cannot promise you 100 new heads or 100 new arms. Yet, even if you stood alone, even when you feel like you are standing alone, my counsel to you is still compassion over contempt or indifference. As the ancient Jewish sage Hillel said, in a place where there are no people, strive to be a person. But the good news is that I don't have to tell you to stand alone, because the experience of compassion is not unique to you. You are not alone in it. For in every age, and in this one too, there are those who feel it just as you do, and who do not run from the pain in the world and in themselves, but who reach out and help to heal it. I suspect that is one of the most important things that life itself is for. I know it is one of the most important things that we do together here. The poet Emma Lazarus, who wrote that famous poem about the Statue of Liberty, now cast in bronze, inscribed in its base, wrote many other poems besides that one. Here is one of hers about the burden of caring, of recognizing that sometimes the seemingly inconvenient humanity in every other human being, and about how such a recognition is also the solace and relief from that burden. Therefore, I dare reveal my private woe, the secret blots of my imperfect heart, nor strive to shrink or swell mine own desert, nor beautify, nor hide. For this I know, that even as I am, thou also art. Thou past heroic forms unmoved shalt go, to pause and bide with me, to whisper low, not I alone am weak, not I apart, must suffer, struggle, conquer day by day. Here is my very cross, by strangers borne. Here is my bosom sin, wherefrom I pray. Hourly deliverance, this my rose, this my thorn. This woman my soul's need can understand, stretching o'er silent gulfs her sister hand. There's another poem by an author named Kent M. Keith. It is sometimes misattributed to Mother Teresa because a copy of it hung on the wall in her children's home. It's a set of what the poet called paradoxical commandments. I'm going to offer you 5 of them to consider for yourself this week. The 5 that I think are most applicable to the circumstances in which we currently live together. People are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. People really need help, but may attack you if you do help them. Help people anyway. Give the world the best you have, and you'll get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have. Anyway. The sun came up this morning. Photosynthesis continued to do its work all over the world. The chemical processes that take place inside the bodies of every air-breathing animal on Earth continued to function just as they did the day before. Wind keeps flowing on over the surface of our sphere. Waves lap the shore at the pull of the moon. And in just this last hour, a great many lives have ended and a great many new ones began. Whether you are a passionate atheist or a dead certain God believer, that is divine, at least in the sense of its being wonderful. And it is sacred, because all of those things and more are what life depends upon. No matter how dim our view of the social and political forces holding sway for the moment, and it is necessary that we be honest with ourselves and each other about the state of things, especially when we find it dangerous or frightening. There is still refuge to be taken in the spectacular gift of the earth we share. These are perilous times, but we are each a part of a generous earth. Rabbi Esther Adler notes that compassion, the word in Hebrew is rachamim. Rachamim is a plural form of the word rechem, meaning womb. The rabbi goes on to explain that the common interpretation in the Jewish tradition, going back all the way to the ancient sages, of which Hillel himself was one, is to explain that the highest and the most recognizable form of compassion is a mother's love for her child. However, Rabbi Adler points out, the womb does not love. The womb sustains and protects the unborn baby simply because of what it is. That is what it does. And the womb connects the baby to the mother in a most intimate way, perhaps the most intimate connection two separate beings can have. From this perspective, then, rachamim, or being womb-like, means being connected to another being in an intimate, sustaining way, without expectation of anything in return. Rachamim is not a feeling like sympathy or empathy. It is a deep connection to another human being that moves us to act in ways that are sustaining to that person. Rachamim, compassion, is not a feeling. It is a choice. It is the choice to acknowledge our shared humanity, no matter how I may feel about you. The womb that is the earth bore each of us, all of us, into life. We are a part of it, in fact, as were our parents and every generation that preceded them. We have such a good thing to share in it. And we have so much pain to heal in ourselves and in each other. So let us free ourselves from the prison that is the premise of our separateness, the limited imagining of what I deserve, by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures with the question of what do we deserve instead.
We invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering, which supports the ongoing work of this community, as well as the work of our outreach offering recipient, who this week is the Wisconsin Network for Peace and Justice. Wisconsin Network for Peace and Justice was founded in 1991 as a coalition of activist groups and citizens of conscience within Wisconsin. It works to advance a sustainable world free from violence and injustice by connecting, engaging, and strengthening member groups and serving as a catalyst for community organizing and education. There's multiple ways to share your gifts: in the baskets being passed in the room, or donating directly from our website, or through the text to give option that you see on the screen. We thank you once again for your generosity and for your faith in this life we create together.
Each week we gather, carrying in our hearts the joys and losses of our days. We bring them here and share them, knowing that they are held gently in care, in support, and in love. We light a candle of grief and gratitude for the life of Nancy Webster, who passed away peacefully on Friday evening. Nancy was loving and kind, always carrying a smile, and her many years were filled with devotion to family, to friends, and to this congregation. We send our love to all who are missing her today. Elizabeth Barrett and Sam Bates ask us to light a candle of sorrow for their neighbor, Dave Benton, who died of cancer on September 27th. We light a candle of joy to celebrate the wedding of Tom Miskelly and Daphne Nambatia that took place on September 18th. Congratulations to the happy couple. And we light a candle in celebration for former FUS intern Sarah Goodman, as she was installed yesterday by the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Glen Allen, Virginia. Congratulations to minister and to congregation. We light a mournful candle in anticipation of the second anniversary this coming week of the attacks of October 7th. We mourn the deaths of those murdered that day and grieve for all others who were harmed and the many who lost family and friends. We particularly lament the deaths of those who were kidnapped on that day and then died in captivity, as we yearn for the few still surviving hostages to be freed. And we also mark this anniversary with anguish, the 2 years of a brutal, near-apocalyptic war which followed. A war which has leveled Gaza and rendered the people who live there refugees 2 and 3 or more times over, whose civilian death toll now stretches into the many tens of thousands, is now being magnified by famine. Let us bear witness together in this moment that the military targeting of civilians is immoral, whoever they happen to be. That collective punishment of a population is immoral, whoever they happen to be. And that ascribing collective guilt to any race, any nationality, or any religion is immoral, whoever they happen to be. May all those on earth who command the power to cause death and destruction and starvation, as well as the power to stop it, turn away from such immorality. And we light a final candle for all that lives in our hearts, the joys, the losses, the sorrow, and the celebration, and for the love that remains through it all. I invite you now to turn with me both inward and outward and join me in an attitude of prayer and meditation with these words from Michelle Collins. Ground of being, we witness a world on fire, literally and metaphorically. Headlines scream of cruelty and division. Children go hungry while others feast. The earth herself groans under the weight of our carelessness and our selfishness. Some days the suffering feels too vast, the darkness too deep. We are tempted to close our hearts rather than let them break again and again. To choose cynicism over hope, numbness over feeling, despair over the vulnerable act of caring. Yet, here we gather, proof that love persists. In every city, on every continent, hearts like ours beat with stubborn compassion. Strangers comfort strangers. Neighbors feed neighbors. People choose justice when injustice would be easier. Remind us that we are part of something larger than our own individual capacity to heal. That every act of kindness creates ripples we'll never see. That the light of compassion, however small our flame, joins with countless others to push back the darkness. May we trust that love is stronger than fear, that justice is more powerful than oppression, that ordinary people choosing extraordinary kindness can and will transform this world. Amen.
There is love holding us. There is love holding all that we love. There is love holding all we rest in this love. Now I invite us all to rise in body and or in spirit so we can sing together our closing hymn, number 93 in the gray hymnal, To Mercy, Pity, Peace, and Love, number 93. To mercy, pity, peace, and love, all pray in their distress, and to those virtues
to family and friends. May you radiate friendliness towards strangers and difficult people too. May you see those who suffer with the eyes of compassion. May you offer a sincere wish of kindness to all creatures in existence, even yourself. May you know the tenderness of turning your attention to the direction of love over and over again. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.